February 1st, 1959. 9 of the fittest hikers in the Soviet Union vanish on a mountainside in the middle of the night. When rescuers finally find their tent 3 weeks later, it's cut open. From the inside, their boots are still there. Their coats are still there. Everything they needed to survive the cold, left behind. Some of them are found without shoes, without coats, walking calmly into temperatures of -40 degrees. And the 4 hikers found last have injuries a pathologist compares to a car crash, with no wounds on the outside to explain it. For 60 years, governments, scientists, and investigators have tried to explain what happened on that slope. Nobody has ever fully agreed. This is the Dyatlov Pass Incident, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why some questions never get answered. It's January 1959. The Soviet Union is deep in the Cold War, and in the industrial city of Sverdlovsk, a group of university students is preparing for the trip of their lives. Their leader is 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, a radio engineering student with a reputation for precision. He doesn't take unnecessary risks. He plans everything. The 7 friends joining him: Zinaida Kolmogarova, Yuri Doroshenko, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolevatov, Rustam Slobodin, Yuri Krivonishenko, and Nikolai Thibault-Brignoles, are all experienced skiers in their early 20s, chasing the highest hiking certification the Soviet Union offers. Joining them at the last minute is a 9th member, Semyon Zolotaryov, 37 years old, more than a decade older than everyone else. A ski instructor who wasn't originally part of this trip at all. Why was he really there? That question will outlive every one of them. There's a 10th hiker too, at first. Yuri Yudin. On January 28th, crippling joint pain forces him to turn back to camp. He says goodbye to his friends, watches them disappear into the white distance, and has no idea that goodbye is permanent. Yudin will spend the rest of his life as the only member of that expedition who gets to grow old. On February 1st, the group is making their way toward Goro-Otorden when the weather turns violently against them. Snow, wind, zero visibility. They lose the trail and drift onto the open slope of Kholat Syakhl instead of the sheltered forest below. Every experienced hiker knows the rule: get off the exposed slope, get into the trees. Dyatlov, for reasons no one will ever fully explain, chooses to make camp right there, in the open on the mountain. His last diary entries are calm, practical. There is no hint, anywhere in his handwriting, that anything is wrong. That night, something happens inside the tent that turns 9 capable, rational people into people who cut their way out of their own shelter and run into a killing cold, without their boots. When the group misses their check-in date, there's no panic at first. Delays happen, but as February drags on with no telegram, no word, nothing, families begin to demand answers. On February 20th, search parties are finally sent out. Students, teachers, then the army, then aircraft. They are looking for 9 of the most careful hikers in the region, and they are afraid of what they'll find. On February 26th, they find the tent, and what they find raises more questions than it answers. The tent is collapsed, half buried, and cut open from the inside. Every piece of clothing, every boot, every scrap of food is still there, untouched, as if the group intended to come right back. But they don't come back, because someone or something made 9 trained mountaineers believe that staying inside was more dangerous than the storm outside. Following footprints in the snow, some in socks, some barefoot, Searchers follow the trail down toward a distant tree line. Under a large pine tree, they find the remains of a small fire and the first two bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonushchenko, dead, wearing almost nothing. The branches above them are broken as high as 5 meters up the trunk, meaning someone climbed desperately, looking for something. Looking, perhaps, for the camp they just fled. Between the tree and the tent, 3 more bodies are found. Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, Rustam Slobodin. Their positions tell a devastating story. They appear to have been trying to climb back up the mountain, back toward the tent, back toward safety, when the cold finally took them. That leaves 4 hikers still missing, and for 2 more months, the mountain keeps its secret. When spring finally melts the snow, searchers find the last 4 bodies buried under 4 meters of it. In a ravine deeper in the woods, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolevatov, Semyon Zolotaryov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignoles. And this is where the case stops being a tragedy and starts becoming a mystery that refuses to die. Because these 4 aren't just victims of the cold. The autopsies reveal catastrophic internal trauma. Thibault-Brignoles has a fractured skull. Dubinina and Zolotaryov both have massive chest fractures, the kind of force, the pathologist says, that you'd expect from a car crash, and yet, there isn't a single external wound to explain it. No blow marks, no bruising pattern consistent with a beating. Whatever hit them with tremendous force and left almost no trace of how. It gets stranger. Some of the bodies are missing their eyes. One is missing her tongue. Traces of radiation are found on some of the clothing, but not all of it. Investigators quietly question the local Mansi tribespeople, wondering if this was an attack. But there's no sign of a struggle. No footprints besides the hiker's own. Whoever or whatever did this left the group completely alone at the scene. By May 1959, the official Soviet inquiry closes the case with 3 chilling words: a compelling natural force, no named cause, no named suspect, just force. The files are sealed, and for 30 years, that's where the story ends. Except it doesn't end there. In 1990, the original lead investigator, Lev Ivanov, finally breaks his silence. He admits his team never found a rational explanation, and he reveals something the Soviet Union buried along with the case file. Witnesses, that same night, reported strange orange spheres of light drifting over the mountains. Reports he says he was ordered to suppress. Theories multiply for decades. Secret weapons testing. A botched Cold War meeting between Soviet and Western agents, built around the fact that Zolotaryov, the mysterious late addition to the group, was old enough and skilled enough to be someone entirely different than he claimed. Infrasound generated by mountain winds, capable of triggering blind panic in a sleeping person's mind. And in 2020, after decades of silence, the Russian government finally reopens the case and delivers its answer. An avalanche, a slab of snow, they say, broke loose and struck the tent, forcing a desperate, half-dressed evacuation into the dark. It's a tidy answer. Physicists in Switzerland even built a model in 2021 showing how it could work. But if you ask the researchers who've spent their lives on this case, the tidy answer doesn't fit the evidence on the ground. There's no debris, no disturbed snowfield, and the footprints leading away from that tent don't look like 9 people fleeing for their lives. They look like 9 people walking, calmly, into the freezing dark. So we're left with this: 9 talented, experienced people, none of them reckless, none of them careless, made a decision in the middle of the night that cost every one of them their life. Something convinced them the tent itself had become the most dangerous place on that mountain. We know what happened to their bodies. We know, more or less, when. What we don't know, what no government report, no physics model, no 60 years of investigation has ever definitively answered, is what they saw, or heard, or felt. In the seconds before they picked up their knives and cut their way out into the snow, whatever it was, it's still up there, on a mountain in the Mansi named Dead Mountain, long before it earned the name twice over.